Imagine deploying dozens of ESP32 sensors across a smart office, monitoring temperature, humidity, and occupancy, while controlling HVAC systems and alarms. One day, an attacker remotely manipulates these devices, extracts data, or triggers false alarms. It sounds like a nightmare, but this happens more often than you think. IoT devices are inherently exposed. They're always online, often use default credentials, and frequently communicate without encryption. In this lesson, we'll break down why IoT devices, including your ESP32 projects, are vulnerable. You'll learn about weak passwords, unencrypted communication, outdated firmware, and device hijacking. More importantly, you'll gain a practical mindset to build resilient, secure IoT systems right from deployment, ensuring your projects remain reliable in real-world environments. Many IoT devices ship with simple defaults like admin, and engineers sometimes leave them unchanged for convenience. Attackers automate scanning IP ranges and gain access using these known credentials. Take the Mirai botnet in 2016. It hijacked thousands of IoT cameras and routers precisely because default credentials were left untouched. On ESP32 projects, even a simple LED controller can be repurposed if left vulnerable. Always enforce unique, strong passwords per device. For large deployments, consider programmatically generating device-specific credentials or leveraging secure hardware or software-based credential management. The question to reflect on is, would leaving one device unsecured compromise your entire network? Thinking ahead is key to building secure systems. Many IoT devices communicate over HTTP or unsecured MQTT, exposing sensor data, control commands, and credentials to anyone listening. Imagine a Wi-Fi temperature sensor sending data in plain text. Anyone on the same network could intercept or manipulate readings. The ESP32 supports secure protocols. VFE client secure for HTTPS or MQTT client with TLS. Using these encrypts data in transit and protects against man-in-the-middle attacks. Think of encryption as a protective tunnel for your commands and sensor data. Even low-risk devices should use encrypted communication. Security is cumulative. One unsecured channel can compromise an entire deployment. Pause and consider. How would you secure a mixed network of critical and non-critical sensors? Firmware contains bug fixes and security patches. Leaving IoT devices on outdated firmware is a common mistake attackers exploit. Even minor vulnerabilities in old firmware or third-party libraries, MQTT, HTTP, or sensor drivers, can compromise your ESP32 devices. Implementing an OTA update mechanism ensures devices can be patched remotely without physical access. Think of firmware updates as vaccination. You protect your devices before a vulnerability is exploited. In projects I've deployed, skipping updates was the single most common reason devices were hijacked. Always monitor library updates and push timely patches. Reflect. Could a small firmware bug in one sensor jeopardize an entire building's IoT network? IoT devices can be hijacked to form botnets, mine cryptocurrency, or launch DDoS attacks. This usually happens due to weak passwords, unencrypted communication, or outdated firmware. The Mirai botnet demonstrated that even minimal devices can be co-opted at scale. Once compromised, devices behave unpredictably. False alarms, unexpected commands, or even physical damage. Mitigation requires monitoring for anomalies, limiting network access with firewalls or VLANs, and applying the principle of least privilege so devices only communicate with necessary endpoints. Reflective question. If one device in your ESP32 deployment is hijacked, how quickly could you isolate it and prevent further damage? Here's a structured approach to securing IoT systems. Think of it as layers of an onion. Each layer reduces risk, even if another fails. Strong authentication includes unique passwords and secure keys. Encrypted communication protects data in transit. Timely firmware updates close known vulnerabilities. Network segmentation and monitoring detect anomalies, while physical security prevents tampering. Layering doesn't guarantee zero risk, but it dramatically improves resilience. Visualize. If firmware fails, Encrypted channels and network segmentation limit damage. Always design systems with multiple protective layers to stay ahead of attackers. Even as a beginner, you can implement professional-level IoT security on ESP32 projects. Use environment variables or a secrets.h file to store credentials, not plain text. Prefer MQTT over TLS rather than plain HTTP. Implement OTA updates for timely firmware patches. Disable unnecessary services and close unused ports to reduce exposure. Periodically scan your network for unexpected device behavior. These steps don't require extra hardware but dramatically reduce vulnerabilities. The takeaway is that disciplined coding and thoughtful network design matter as much as fancy security tools. Ask yourself, what's the simplest change you can make today to protect your ESP32 deployment? Security is as much about thinking critically as it is about coding. Ask yourself, if a hacker gains access to your network, which attack vector would succeed first, and why? How would you implement OTA updates securely for hundreds of ESP32 devices? What trade-offs exist between convenience and security? Could anomaly detection complement preventive measures on small devices? Reflecting on these questions helps you internalize the mindset of a professional IoT engineer and prepares you to make informed, real-world security decisions. IoT devices are inherently vulnerable, but understanding the risks lets you design secure, reliable systems. Weak passwords, unencrypted communication, outdated firmware, and device hijacking are the main threats, but you can mitigate them with layered security. Strong authentication, encryption, timely updates, network segmentation, and vigilant monitoring ensure your ESP32 projects remain functional and safe. Security is a professional requirement from day one, not an afterthought. By applying these principles, you'll build resilient IoT deployments capable of withstanding real-world threats while maintaining performance and scalability.